Hi there, I'm Troy Stetina, and welcome to Two-Handed Tapping. If you want to learn how to tap like Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, and Joe Satriani, you've come to the right place. In this lesson, we're going to look at the most popular tapping techniques used by the pros, and we'll learn some killer licks in the process. We're going to cover a lot of ground in this lesson, from beginning tapping licks to advanced, so let's get started. Eddie popularized the tapping technique on the first Van Halen album in 1978. His famous guitar solo, Eruption, contained a massive barrage of arpeggios played faster than any guitarist had previously heard. Since this is probably the easiest tapping technique to master, it's a good place to start. The basic technique involves tapping one note and playing two notes with your fretting hand. Every note will be either tapped, pulled off, or hammered on, so you don't need your pick at all. Here's a simple A minor arpeggio played on the first string. There are a few variations on this technique. Some players tap with their first finger and hold the pick with their mouth, or with the second finger, like that. Some tap with their second finger and leave the pick where it is, between thumb and first finger. Other players drop the pick entirely while they're tapping. Just experiment and see what feels best to you. Whichever method you choose, make sure that you're muting the lower strings with the palm of your right hand so they don't start ringing out like this. This will keep things nice and clean. Now, this little three-note arpeggio shape can be varied in all kinds of ways to create all kinds of licks. For example, you can alternate the order of the two fretted notes like this. Or you can put other notes on the downbeat besides the tapped note. To sound the first note, just do a silent pull-off with your tapping finger, like this. Or you can just hammer your fretting finger down. Here are 4 variations with that idea. First, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second, 1, 2, 3, 4. The third, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll see that with just a little bit of practice, it's easy to play this shape at an impressive speed. It's really common to take this same three-note idea and move it through the strings for different arpeggios. You can get things like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now a little slower. Since you're dealing with a three-note shape, triplets are obviously very common, but you can turn these shapes into a 16th note lick just by doubling up on one of the freehand notes, like this. Or this. Another way to create 16th note phrases is to use scalar fragments in the left hand. This concept pairs one tapped note with 3 fretted notes, like this. With 3 fretted notes, the number of possible variations expands greatly. Here are just a few variations. When you put one of the fretted notes on the downbeat, the variations are almost too many to count. Here are just a few. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the second, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, 4. And the fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. There are a lot of variations. Considering this, you can come up with some very interesting licks. For example, this one in the key of G major. 1, 2, 3, 4. And slow. Or you could take a 4-note pattern and move it up in sequence along one string. Here's that idea in a D minor lick. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that example played slowly. Not all tap licks need to descend or stay on one string. You can also tap your way up through the strings. For example, you could play a G major scale like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And slow. With this type of lick, you have two options for moving on to the next string. You can either hammer on the string with your left-hand finger like this, or you can use a right-hand finger to pluck the string directly after you tap, like this. Try both ways and see what feels best for you. With this concept, you open up a whole new realm of possibilities, including ascending pentatonic licks and arpeggios. Here's a great E minor pentatonic lick that uses this technique. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here it is slow. Or you can skip strings and ascend through multiple octave arpeggios, like this A major arpeggio lick. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now slowly. You can also incorporate bends into your tapping licks. This can really sound interesting. Here's the basic concept. Start by bending a normal note with your left hand, then tap a higher fret while the note is still bent, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you consider pre-bends, releases, and the different order of the notes, you get tons of variations on this type of lick. Here are just a few. You can play normal sounding licks with this technique and give them a totally different sound, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. By the way, when you're adding vibrato to a tapped note like this, use your left hand to apply the vibrato, like normal. The tap note just goes along for the ride. Besides bending tapped notes, you can also slide them. Here's an E minor pentatonic sequence on the B string using tapped slides. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's a lick from the E blues scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget that you can combine these techniques into one lick to get some really interesting sounds. Here's an example combining tapped bends and slides in a B minor pentatonic lick. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're dealing with all the techniques combined, you're really only limited by your imagination. Well, that's it for this lesson. Have fun working with your new tapping skills, and good luck.